Hey guys, it's Rod with Simple Advantage Firearms Training. Thanks for joining me. We're actually going to do a product review. Like I said in the last video, I've been really busy, so thanks for hanging in there with me. So today we're going to talk about some upgrades for the T97 from T97.ca. So the owner, Frank over there, sent me a few of these parts for my T97 rifle. I'm going to say a few things about Frank and my experience with him during the video as well. But the T97 is a mass-produced military rifle, not really meant for any kind of upgrades. It's meant like, here's the rifle, throw it in somebody's hands, there you go, that's what you get. So learn how to use it. So in the civilian world, we like to upgrade things and tweak things, and that's a hobby in and of itself. So the T97 really didn't lend itself to that because there was no rails, had this crazy carry handle. The charging handle was quite difficult to reach. You only really have one choice, which is to throw your index finger into the carry handle and yank that thing back. And, so there's some vulnerabilities in the rifle. But the reason why there are as many as there are in Canada is because in Canada, we can source these Chinese firearms. They're quite affordable. They're reasonably reliable. The finishing work leaves something, to be desired. But all in all, it's a more affordable alternative for us because when American firearms come into Canada, there's a lot of overhead attached to that, and they tend to be really expensive. So that's the reason why you see these things. Anyway, the two upgrades available from T97 that I'm going to talk about today are the LHG, which is the lower handguard. That's this piece, this whole replacement piece here, and the flat top upper. Now, I've talked about the flat top upper before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Just from me to you, in my experience with this rifle, both of these pieces are game changers for the rifle. It makes the rifle a whole different firearm. And the reason for that is the flat top upper gives you this rail. I'm just going to run through these things real quick because it's the lower that I really want to talk about. So you get the whole rail thing. You have a accessible side charging handle that comes with it. There's one vulnerability with the charging handle. Because it's in this little channel, it tends to bind a little bit. So I put some bearing grease actually in the channel, and every once in a while, once a year, I'll top up that bearing grease to make sure that the charging handle is not binding at all. It takes a little bit of strength to pull this, a lot more strength than it does for an AR-15. And there's some rail mounts, some M-lock rail mounts on the side, and it's kind of vented and it's lightweight. So flat top upper, great. It's a great upgrade. And just so you know, I've written down these prices so I don't forget them. The flat top upper is $329 at least when I looked it up. So that's what this thing is going to cost you. The rifle itself in Canada, as I may have mentioned, is about $1,000. Now you've added just over $300 to it. Now let's talk about the lower. The lower is called the LHG or lower handguard. The lower replaces this entire piece of the rifle as it comes from the factory. The lower is actually $399, so $400. Together, this whole upgrade package is around $730. So you got a $1,000 rifle, you slap $730 on it, it's still under $2,000, and you have a pretty functional, pretty modern, pretty aggressive, cool looking bullpup. Okay, and it's non-restricted in Canada, which is a big deal, right? It's got an 18.6 inch barrel. So, kind of that's the situation that you're left with. Now the lower is kind of interesting. It replaces that whole piece, as I mentioned. It comes with a new trigger group. There's not a whole lot of trigger parts in there, but at least they're new and they're a lot smoother and nicer, not a real word, than the original ones. The lower itself is really solid. So there's a couple of ways that they make this quite tight. Now some of the rifles, there's some inconsistency when they come from the factory. So sometimes these parts can be a little tighter, a little looser, depending on the gun. A couple of the other parts of this firearm I like. You got some rail mount area down here. Again, it's M-lock. And you've got a set screw that keeps it really, really tight. What's another neat thing is now this lower accepts a separate grip. Okay, so you can actually put an AR-15 grip on here. Which is neat. So I had an old Hogue AR-15 grip. I stuck that on there. And also with the kit, they include a new magazine release button. So the magazine, and I'm going to say a couple of things real quick about this. The magazine release on here is great. It's offset, meaning it's hanging over on one side. So when you turn it, it actually changes the location. And there's a set screw on there too, so it doesn't spin. But it changes the location of where this button is. So if you want it hanging down, because that's the way you change magazines underneath here, no problem. You turn it that way, hit the set screw. If you want to change magazines some other way and you want it to maybe be up a little bit farther, closer to the ejection port, because you want to grab the magazine down here with your strong hand side, that's okay. You can do that too. The one vulnerability with this, the enhanced magazine release is the fact that it does protrude from the rifle. It does eject the magazine when you push it this way. So if you lean the rifle against something or you lay it down, it'll kind of pop the magazine out. So that's probably the only thing I would say. Overall, and I've run this gun doing like run and gun in the bush, I think that these two upgrades are absolutely invaluable. The machining is beautiful, extremely well thought out. And at this point, I want to say something about Frank. So I talked to Frank on the phone at T97.ca, and just by my conversation on the phone with him, and when I got the actual part, when he sent it to me, there's a letter inside, and it talks about, it's Frank talking about why things were designed the way they are. And you can see that he's like a person that understands what you want, meaning me, when I buy an upgrade like this, what would be the perfect case scenario if I could do everything? And you could just see the level of thought put into these upgrades. So I really appreciate that. The stuff is all milled aluminum. It's really strong. It's extremely light. I don't know. I could go on all day about it, to be honest with you, because I'm really happy with these two things. So anyway, there's a lot more information that you can find over at T97.ca. Would I recommend these upgrades if you have a T97? I don't think you can go wrong with them, honestly. Again, full disclosure, you may have to do a little filing here and there. I have heard from some people that the parts didn't quite fit exactly the way, out of the box. Other people like me, I had no problem. I slapped these things right on, hit the set screws, and they are tight as tight gets. No wiggle at all, and they've been fantastic. They've been absolutely perfect for me. So maybe I've been lucky, I don't know. But the inconsistency doesn't come from T97. I think it comes from the manufacturing process in China. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful for you. Again, for the addition of $730, you're looking at almost a completely brand new rifle, and I have to tell you, it looks really, really awesome. So anyway, I've shown you a little bit of run and gun footage throughout the video. This is a great non-restricted to do that. If you have some experience with T97 and or these two upgrades, please share your experience with other gun owners in the description bar, the comment section. Make sure you subscribe, share this video. Enjoy, stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.